Episode 20.
Whoop whoop.
Revelations Podcast. I'm Sean. This is Danny. She's pregnant.
Episode 20 and coming up on week 20.
That's right. 2020. Wow. Cool. Do y'all remember 2020? That year?
No, I
Wild.
blacked it out.
Wild. Yeah, so this is a podcast and we're going to talk about stuff. We own Prevail Strength and Fitness 1 and 2.
And 2.
Okay. Plus Prevail Lean Strength, Nutrition, online coaching, plus Danny G Photography, plus Prevail Adventure Club.
Yes.
And who knows what else in the future, right? Yeah. We're going to talk today about, so we're in the middle of getting prepped for the pre-sale for location 2.
Yes. So
right.
you said that we had 2 locations, and currently in one location we have no equipment, no students yet.
Yeah, so today is March 24th.
We
right?
signed this lease
February
16th?
Something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
17th maybe?
We are intended to be open May 1. So
Mhm.
we are 39 days out from a theoretical open. And as of today, we have no equipment, no
students.
confirmed staff, no confirmed students. We're
It's going to be
less
when
than
we're
40
really,
days out.
really close to opening.
Really close. But there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that are all like ruminating
Mhm.
this like volcano of stuff holding at the bottom
Volcano.
as all the things launch all at the very similar time, right?
We are launching a bunch of things.
So like we'll start pre-sale memberships, like open up the gates to the options to sign up for location 2 here in the next like couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's depending on lots of things, which is tough at this point too, because the amount of conversations we're having, everyone wants to have hard dates, hard times, hard schedule, hard numbers, because that's nice.
There's
right?
just so many unknowns.
So many unknowns. The space is supposed to be delivered to us April 1st.
Yeah.
Supposed to, right? And we have a bunch of things in carts getting ready to order, but all those have like a random shipping time from like 7, 10, 14 days.
Yeah.
But we can't order them without knowing that the space will be open enough to accept the equipment. Like the flooring is the biggest one. And we're going to have, I don't know how many pounds it is, but it's 400 square feet of rubber mat delivered. Well, that can't get delivered until construction's finished.
Yeah, because it's a liability for...
Yeah, but only that, there's like, where would you put it?
Yeah.
It's a massive amount of stuff.
It is
right?
a massive amount of stuff. And they're still like painting and doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So all these dates. But coming back to, we're having a lot of conversations with people because we're running ads kind of blanketing an area about a 20-minute drive from that location. And some of the people have heard about us, but a lot of these people are getting these ads, and it's the first time they've really heard about it because it's not, generally speaking, a lot of this market is pretty new to like a Prevail audience.
Yeah.
Compared to like a North OKC, Central Edmondy kind of West Edmond, East Edmond, like a lot of that, not a lot, but a good chunk, we've been around that area for a long time. But this Yukon, Northwest OKC, West OKC, they probably have never heard of Prevail because we're outside of that radar.
Yeah.
So we're getting good traction. We're getting some people raising their hands, which is awesome. And we're also getting a bunch of this like, well, what is it?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can see an ad and there's people like lifting weights or there's a video of someone talking or it's standing in the space. It's like, but you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But what, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we are a strength gym.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep calling it a strength gym. But if you've never been to like a group fitness like that,
Yeah.
then you don't really know
Right. Yep.
what to expect.
Yeah. And the backside of that too is like your strength training is on a boom right now. You're going to see it in the market everywhere. And which is great, but it also means that you're going to see the word strength training everywhere, and it's going to mean 10 different things.
Yeah.
It's going to mean so much because it's all different. But the two most common things that have been around forever, CrossFit, boot camps.
Yeah.
That's basically the two most common group-based fitness kind of things out there, right? And then you've got like Orange Theory, F45, but really you can kind of put F4, you can put those two in the same like boot camp category.
Right.
Pretty much, because they're both barbell-less type of things.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're going to have other things that are kind of like barbell or like strength biased, you know? So the reason we wanted to do today was like, let's break down what Prevail is, because it's easy to say what it isn't, because if you have a past history, it's easy to say, well, I've done this, I've done that. How is it similar as a basis of like comparison?
Yeah.
But it'd also be like, we can't just say what it is without saying what it's not, because it gets really hard, because you're like, well, I don't have any base of information to know unless you're an exercise dork.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Because you've tried a variety of things.
Right,
yeah.
right. Or you're in the industry. You're like, okay, that makes sense. But the most common things are boot camp and CrossFit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how, from other group fitness experiences, the things that are similar, the things that are nowhere close to the same, and some other things that are like very much the same.
Yes.
All right. So when you think about a group session, and it's called group fitness because it's been group fitness forever. We don't call us group fitness. We call us group strength.
Right.
Just because if you start with the powerful, like the meaning of just like words matter, if you think fitness things, you're already in this like image in your head, this little video of people moving a bunch, sweating, doing exercise just to get through space, burning calories.
Yeah, when he's saying like move through space, he's really talking about like people like jumping around.
Yeah.
Or like just moving as fast as possible. Like
Right.
we typically like think like that.
Yeah. That's like it's like filler, you know, when moving through space, because you're gonna see people in like boot camps where there's going to be exercises that may be very similar to us. Like, oh, you're going to do bicep curls and squats. Okay, everyone knows what bicep curls and squats are, right? But you might see people like, oh, in between those two things, you need to run around the building. Or in between those two things, do 100 jumping jacks.
That's what he means by filler.
Yeah. And filler moving through space.
To like just
you're not when I say that, see, this is the hard part, because so much of my basis is already
I'm trying to like
cover the gaps. We should interview someone who's like brand new to fitness and explain to this. So if you're watching this and you're new and you want to be interviewed,
I think I have a good way, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, so he's saying maybe in some like boot camp style classes you would do your deadlifts and your bicep curls, and then you would run around the building, or you would have this time where you're like, okay, now we're going to do 50 jumping jacks or 50 broad jumps or whatever it is, and then go back to your deadlift and bicep. So he's saying filler because most of the time there's not enough opportunity to go heavy enough that you would need a rest in between those things. So you're creating more out of breathness to get a good workout in, like in quotations. I'm going to say a good workout in.
Right.
So you're like just trying to keep your heart rate high in between these like typically lower weight exercises. Yeah.
It's very traditional in group fitness that any downtime is weird.
Yes.
You know, it's like, what am I doing just sitting here? Shouldn't I be like doing something the entire time I'm here?
Yeah.
And that's where you start on that group fitness side of the spectrum, is you're rarely resting, which is a good place to put most group fitness.
Yeah.
You're just doing something the entire time. And there's a time and place for that. And that's just not who we are. Right. So if you take the recipe for group fitness is going to be very low rest times, the frequency of your opportunity to rest are super low. The skill of the movements are generally low from I could learn this quickly, right, and do it right. Yeah. So anyone can do a jumping jack fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like fast in the sense of like, I could teach you to do a jumping jack in like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
But if I were to teach you to do a Turkish get-up, well, I can't teach you to do a Turkish get-up in 4 seconds. Like that's taking multiple
longer.
sessions to do, right? So generally speaking, lower skill. Generally speaking, no rest. Generally speaking, weights that are conducive to the no rest part.
Yes.
Because they're going to be light enough to where you can move in a high volume, a high frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the high intensity comes from, right? What else is kind of like a boot campy recipe for a really good boot camp?
Like movement wise?
Anything. What's like when you just think group fitness and a boot camp workout, how would you know you're doing that? Besides things we've already talked about. And when we dropped into how many gyms?
A lot.
How many group sessions have we done across the country?
A lot.
Yeah, dozens and dozens and dozens.
I mean, I would say typically like there's not really a plan. Like there's a plan for the day,
Yep.
but it's random just based on like
Yep.
what the
Yeah.
person in charge wants to do that day.
Yeah, that's another good point. So most group fitness is winning a 60-minute experience
Mm-hmm.
from a sense of, now we've definitely been to places where even the 60-minute experience from a technical program design, like
Mhm.
I have designed a program for today, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But we've also been into sessions where they've been like, okay, the combinations of things today make sense. But beyond today, there's no correlation from the last time, the day before, 2 days from now, a week from now.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean anything from any other thing except for right now, this standalone session is like just planned for right now.
Yeah.
And, I think we were talking to what Josh, he was like shit on a whiteboard,
Yeah.
which is just a joke because you could put really advanced technical programming on a whiteboard. But the idea is like, oh, I've got 20 people showing up. I need to write down a plan for them to do on this whiteboard so they have something to look at.
Yeah.
That's this idea of like shit on a whiteboard. So rare. It's usually a very, what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, I
The
think
plan for the day is usually made just for that day
yes.
without any kind of thought process beyond that
No,
day.
of what you're going to
Yeah.
do tomorrow or
Right.
2 days from now or if
Right.
you're going to come back
Right.
or
Right.
what. I think it's like
Yeah.
more based on like how many things can I get done in this hour
Yep.
with high energy,
Yep.
lots of breathing.
Yep.
Let's get sweaty.
Yep. Yep. And then what's another? Oh, okay. On that same thing is like, if you were to have someone come do a boot camp workout and you were to tell them we're going to do this exact same workout in 4 days,
I wouldn't go back.
most of them would be like, absolutely not, because they seek variety for entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I do think this is kind of where the "but did you die" like
Oh yeah.
aspect of exercise kind of comes in on like, yeah, let's do, EMOM of burpees and box jumps and all these
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
like, because there's like this medal at the end of it that like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did like an
Right.
obscene amount of things and
Yeah.
I didn't die.
Which we hear from people when they're coming in for like consults or trials.
Yeah, they're like, am I going to die?
Am I
I'm
going
like,
to die?
no.
Because that's what they're thinking
Yeah.
of what group fitness is.
Like, no, but your muscles are going to be sore tomorrow.
Right. Okay. So that's a pretty good. And then probably on the other side of group fitness, generally speaking, there's no capacity issues.
Right.
There's rarely a time to where it's a certain amount of people in the room.
Yeah.
It's usually, it just literally matters how many square footage there is.
Yeah. The last one we went to, there was 50 of us in a pretty small room.
Pretty small room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about Orange Theory F45, I think their models are based off of 30 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
Most boot camps are in that same kind of window, unless it's a weird time or they're a new product. Then
Mhm.
it's a lower amount of people, not because of the program is designed for lower people. It's probably because there's just not that many people at that hour. But generally, boot camp has no limitations on volume of people,
Mm-hmm.
which also comes back to a little bit of a quality over quantity type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And to be clear, when we're saying all these things, we're not talking down on these. We're just literally explaining what the recipe is of a group fitness.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And
Yeah.
how we're different than that, because we aren't any of those things.
Yeah, because it is hard for us to say we're group strength training when other places that have 50 people classes are also saying that they are group strength training. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one side. Group
Yeah.
fitness, boot campy things, generally
campy
high
things.
intensity, generally, all about the amount of effort and low skill, lots of movement. Let's get as much as we can done in this amount of time. Right.
Yes.
So for people who have done that, that's easy reference. Because if we do a consult with someone and we're like, hey, what's your previous experience? And they're like, well, I've done this and this. And like, okay, well, you have that experience, and that allows us to say, okay, this is what's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's talk about
Yes. And then
what's
we can
different.
like kind of break it apart.
Yep. And so the other big, huge keyword is going to be CrossFit.
Yes.
Right? Well, recently in the last week, we've had like 6 people all say they've come from CrossFit.
Yes. Or they felt like their next option from what they were doing was CrossFit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Now, if you've done CrossFit before, you have the reps to know what it is. A lot of people who have never done it, they have no clue what it is, but they have this like painted image in their head of like, basically what you see on highlight reels in CrossFit games is like people throwing barbells overhead as much as possible, and people flying around a bar, like a pull-up bar, as much as possible.
Yeah.
And that's not what CrossFit is, but that's like the image you have in your head of what CrossFit is.
Yes.
So the basic recipe for CrossFit is, and the actual term is what's the little acronym they say in CrossFit? The highly variety. Oh my goodness, what's it? Now I'm blanking now.
Well, I don't know what you're...
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. So they're they want as much variety, as much exposure to a stimulus as possible.
Okay.
In CrossFit. So their idea is that they want to, every day is a little bit different, and you're going to be exposed to a wide range of stimuluses. Constantly varied, that's what it is. Constantly varied, high intensity exercise. I think that's what the little description of CrossFit is. And it's the constantly varied part. So they're doing constantly varied at a sense of not for randomness necessarily, but they want to expose you to as much variety as possible. And that would mean like every part of every fitness background, you're going to see bits and pieces of it over who knows how much time you're going to be there for days and weeks and months and years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the other part is that there's going to be some sort of intensity-based piece to the session.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike a boot camp or group fitness where the entire thing is intensity-based, CrossFit is going to be a section of the day is intensity-based, which means, and that could be from anything from like, that whole day happens to be intensity-based, or the last half hour is, or the last 40 minutes is, or the last 20 minutes is, or the last 8 minutes is. There's going to be something that's like, we're going to push for the stimulus for this like 20-minute bout of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they fill it with all sorts of exercises to create that intensity, right? And some do it smarter than others, some don't. When we know CrossFit box owners who have like super intelligent programming for that model, for that modality of what CrossFit is, they use all sorts of implements. And it's not, I hate to make these blanket terms, but it can be a pretty stressful environment from like a physiological, mechanical stress.
Sure, because a lot of people that are doing CrossFit are also preparing for competition. Kind of.
I would say it's the opposite. I would say 80% of people inside of a CrossFit never do a competition.
But are the workouts built to prepare you for a CrossFit competition?
Rarely. This is the hard part.
I've never done CrossFit.
This is the hard part.
I've done a class, but not.
Yeah, not like lots and lots of it.
Yeah.
It's but every session is competitive, if that's what you're kind of getting at, right? It's like there's time on the whiteboard. Who can get these amount of things done in 20
Mhm.
minutes the fastest or the most amount of reps?
But is it all kind of built around like what you would see in like a CrossFit Open or no?
No.
Mm.
No.
Like all the same movements,
right.
patterns.
Right. But a CrossFit competition is built off of the things of, like, let's just say that inside of a CrossFit total program, there's, I'm going to make this up arbitrary, but there's 45 movements you could see inside of a CrossFit gym over a year.
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit competitions are going to say, let's pick these like 17. So it's not that the competition is built in the program, it's that the program is constantly varied, so competitions are anything. Right? But there is competition inside of every session, generally speaking. That's where the intensity comes from. Who can get this done the fastest, or the most weight, or the most repetitions, or the most rounds.
Okay.
Right? That's kind of, AMRAP, as many reps as possible type of thing from CrossFit. And it's usually higher skill, more compound movements, Olympic weightlifting, Olympic gymnastics things off the rings and bars, barbell exercises, kettlebell exercises, dumbbell exercises.
Handstand push-ups, handstand walks.
Right. Bodyweight exercises, all these things that's inside of CrossFit. And so those are the two most common things out there. Now, if someone were to come into Prevail from a CrossFit background, we've had this happen, they've come into Prevail and they've hated it because we don't throw intensity from a cardio standpoint every time you come in. Right?
Yeah.
Bootcamp people come into our space and they hate it because there's too much rest time. Right?
Right.
So if you take those two worlds, and the other last world that we're not really going to talk about is personal training.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if you go to like a regular Globo gym and you do personal training, someone's going to put you through a body part split of like hypertrophy bodybuilding training. Okay, we're going to hit legs today, or we're going to hit chest and back today. Like, that's a vast majority of what personal training is. Obviously, that's not true everywhere, but that's generally speaking, that's what it's going to be. But inside of personal training, you rarely work at high intensity because you have a person there with you to go over high intention, high skill, like, okay, we're going to get the absolute most out of every single set we're doing. We're going to make it as dialed in as possible. That's usually what personal training is. So if you have those three windows, Prevail is kind of right in the middle of all three of those. Here's the things that are similar. So what's the similar thing from all group fitness that we still do?
We do it as a group.
Yeah, there we go. That's a big one. That's a big one. We do it as a group.
We do it as a group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with that, what's the next most common thing about group fitness? You all start together. You start on a certain time.
Yes.
This is different than going to the gym by yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. There's already built-in accountability.
Yeah, which is why group fitness, group strength, group training is so awesome for accountability and for adherence and for culture and community, is because you have a time to start. So it's a 6 p.m. session. 6 p.m. session is starting. I know I have to be there before 6 p.m. to get going. I've already been told it's 6 to 7. Okay, I have 60 minutes to think about this one thing.
Yeah.
And that's what all group, all group fitness, all group strength, that's what they all have a similar thing. Even if it's 45 minutes, you're still, okay, it's 6 to 6:45. That's the time to get my stuff done.
Yeah.
Which is a huge plus.
Yeah.
Compared to like doing it on your own. Right.
Yes.
The next thing is, generally speaking, there's going to be some sort of group warm-up. Yes. Hopefully. Right? Group movement prep. Something is going to happen at the same time. There's going to be some sort of group instruction.
Yes.
Hopefully. Where they're going to be told what they're going to do for the day. And then there's going to be like, the meat and potatoes of like the plan for the day. That's generally going to end on the same time if it's a great place. And there's going to be an end. So there's going to be a cool down and there's going to be an end to the session.
Yes. So
when you look at that recipe, that's staying the same for us.
Yes.
There's a time, there's a check-in, there's a movement explanation, movement prep, movement execution, cool down, end time.
Yes.
That's the same thing that's going to happen at ours.
Yeah.
Right? And then what are things that we're removing in a Prevail experience from those other experiences?
Well, we're removing the randomness.
Okay.
So we build all of our stuff off of a plan.
Okay.
12-week plan.
Yep, 12-week plan. Yep. We build that as a team.
Yes.
Before. So quarter 2's coming up.
Yeah.
The quarter 2 program has been built, and that quarter 2 program will start next month.
Yes.
Okay.
So we run that for 12 weeks.
Yep. So we have literally 6 days a week for 12 weeks. Everything's already planned out.
Yes.
Okay. What's next?
What is next? That's different than we don't do any filler stuff to keep our heart rate up while we're lifting.
Yep. Okay. What patterns specifically we will not see at Prevail?
You will not see burpees.
Okay.
Burpees over.
Okay.
Box jumps.
Okay.
Running around the building.
Yep.
I mean, we really don't do like jumping jacks. We do some like bounding, warm up, hop stuff, which is good for your feet and ankles, but we don't program, star jumps or
Right.
trying to think of other things that we've seen in classes.
Yep. Plyometrics are very rarely done. And if they are done, they're done as a super, super, super light version as a movement prep, or they're done from a very, very low repetition power development.
Yeah.
That's very low.
What else?
Okay. We don't do...
Are we going into the CrossFit stuff too?
Yeah, what else from a boot camp experience? There's really nothing...
I mean, I feel like burpees, box jumps, running.
Box jumps. You know, when you like put your hands on a bench and jump over back and forth over it a bunch.
Or like bench hops or something.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
None of that's there.
Plate pushes. We don't do plate pushes.
We don't do plate pushes. Nope.
We don't do mountain climbers.
Yeah, it's very, very rare that you'll see a mountain climber. Super rare.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
and that's from the boot camp world. From the CrossFit world, we don't do any Olympic weightlifting.
We don't do any
So
Olympic
there's no
weightlifting.
barbell cleans, no barbell snatches, no barbell overhead squats. Okay.
We don't do any kipping.
There's no kipping. So no kipping pull-ups, no kipping dips or kipping handstands.
Yeah.
We don't do any handstands.
We don't do any handstands.
We don't program them.
If you follow me on Instagram, I do handstands, but just like for fun.
Yeah.
For random.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with handstands, or there's nothing wrong with a lot of these things. But we're talking about like, okay, we've got 60 minutes to get in quality exercise. Those are just things that we don't feel for our product and for our people, that the return on reward for risk versus skill versus output is necessary. We would rather put other things into that time.
Yeah.
You know, we'd rather do more specific muscle work than to do intensity work.
And since we are going off of a progressive overload plan, like how terrible would it be if we started week 1 and we're like 10 burpees in between each deadlift set, and then by the end of week 12 we're like 27 burpees in between each.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense for our model.
It does not make sense.
Okay.
So that's pretty much all the things that are...
Yeah, and we don't typically we work on a clock, but we like work rest on a clock. We don't do things for like time.
Yeah. So it's...
like, how fast can you get these things done?
Yeah. We never really...
It's a different concept.
I cannot remember the last time we did an AMRAP ever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. So that's all the things that we kind of like, the two spectrums of things we do not do.
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess what's left to what we do.
Okay, so we do barbell work, like barbell deadlifts, barbell squats, barbell lunges. We do pull-up work.
Strict pull-up work.
Strict pull-up.
Okay.
We do kettlebell stuff. So we do kettlebell presses, kettlebell swings, kettlebell squats.
Yep. Kettlebell deadlifts.
Yes.
Kettlebell cleans.
Yes.
Okay.
Kettlebell rows. We can
There you
also
go.
row with barbells. We also use dumbbells. So we do dumbbell presses. We do bench press with dumbbells. We do barbell bench press.
Right.
We do bicep curls with barbells. We do bicep curls with dumbbells.
Yeah. So if you start from the top, and we have a board about this too, like inside of the mastery board, right? You think about all the big patterns that a human does. We do those with multiple implements. So you think about okay. All right. squats, deadlifts, presses, rows, pulls. We do those with dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells. That's very normal for almost every fitness thing. And then after that, we get into very specific things, joint things. And this is probably going to be a big differentiator between most group fitness and us and group strength.
Yeah.
Is we get into like bicep curls, tricep extension, medial delt, rear delt, cable-based exercises, single leg, glute exercises, glute, adduction. We do cross body, core, anti-rotate, rotate. We even get into like some programs we have like calf raises, and some programs we have hamstring exercises, and some programs we have quad exercises or upper back exercises or lower back exercises, or just not just core exercises, which we do, but we even do oblique exercises or upper lower ab exercises. We get really dialed into like very specific pieces of muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing would be like what we do from a functional standpoint: get ups, carries, crawls, hangs, loaded gait patterns across space, or loaded patterns across time. That would be like the pieces that we're adding in. So we take away the intensity piece of fillers and conditioning and all that stuff, and that's what we've added in. We've added it in the bodybuilding pieces. We've added in the functional pieces of that's what Prevail is. Yeah. And then we're doing that. We're never doing it from a sense of everyone lift the same thing at the same time. Right, so sometimes in a boot camp model, it's everyone do 100 burpees, and then everyone do 100 squats. Oh. It's more like, well, we're going to do this prescription of squats and bench press, go. Now everyone's doing their own weight. There's a recommendation of load, but everyone's resting on their own or resting differently than the person to the left and right of them. Yeah. And the same thing with pull-ups. Instead of saying everyone do pull-ups, we're going to say everyone work on pull-up progressions for the next 10 minutes. And that can mean like 8 different things are happening in the room at the same time, depending on where someone's ability is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because when we talk about like, we don't do burpees or like high intensity stuff all the time, it sounds like it would be an easier
great point
workout option. So dive into that.
Great point. Great point. There's a huge difference between high intention, high intensity, right? High effort, and low impact. Sometimes when they say, oh, you're not a hit place, somehow that means that it's not going to be hard.
Right.
And if you do, like if you do a heavy rear lunge with a barbell for 12 repetitions, like 6 per leg, it's going to feel like you just did 30 burpees.
Yeah.
The effort for that, the intensity is still there.
Yeah. It's just different.
It's way different because it's still tough sessions because we're looking at we want everyone to work at an 8 out of 10 from a load standpoint, not from a breathless standpoint.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick exercises that get you to that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 effort every single set you do. And if there's 7 exercises that day and there's 3 sets, that's a lot of work to put in a high intentional exercise. Compared to just like running through running through like checking the boxes. Yeah. If it's just doing it to do it. Yeah.
Like the last group class that we did, there was a bunch of like jump lunges, switch lunge, what's it?
That one we dropped into in Scottsdale.
What is it called?
I think they're called jumping lunges.
Jumping lunges, where you like alternate your leg and you do 30 at a time, Yeah. So like that is going to feel different in the moment and like right when you're walking out of the room. But then heavy barbell lunges, you're going to feel that in like the next day, 2 days from there. I'm like, dang, I like worked my legs, not like I just got out of breath.
Yeah. Great example. So just because we are not high intensity from a cardio standpoint doesn't mean we're not high intensity from a load standpoint.
Right.
It's still hard. Some people have been in consults and they've been like, oh, you're not a HIIT studio? I don't want to go here. Like, why? Well, it's not going to help me get my goals. Because we've been like brainwashed into thinking that cardio intensity is results.
Yeah.
Which it's not.
Right.
It's not. I mean, what do we have? We have
like you're not going to be able to burn enough calories or something.
Right. Which is kind of ridiculous too. I mean, we've had students lose 40, 50, 60 pounds at Prevail,
Yeah.
only doing strength training.
Yeah.
And never doing a high intensity cardio session.
Yeah.
Cool. There we go.
Anything else?
No, but really just,
Does that like paint a good picture?
I hope, this is the tough part. I hope that those that are watching, if this is a question that we're answering for you, we hope that that helps paint a picture of what we are.
And we cap our classes at 16 people.
And we clap our casts. There we go. That's another good point.
I don't know what else.
16, that's a good point. Because we want the quality of touching point of teaching to be high.
Yeah. Well, and then we compare it to personal training. Typically, your personal trainer has like your notes and your things that you've done over the last months. And each student has a binder. So you take your own notes to know what weights you're using and then how you're progressing with your weights.
Yeah. So that's a part of the personal training world that we stole.
Yeah.
We stole, like, you have a program, you have a plan, you have an individualized thing. Okay, let's like, how close can we get that into the group experience, which is why everyone has their own individual binders so they can keep notes on what they're doing and progress from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So if you're watching this, leave a comment below if this helps you. If you're like, cool, that makes sense. Also leave a comment below if it doesn't and you want some clarity. Ask us some clarifying questions so that we can create more content, so that we can help you understand quickly like what we are and what we are not. If you have done a Prevail session or sessions prior and you watch this and you've had those past experiences, we'd love to hear that in the comments as well, what you felt has been different. And if you are on Instagram, Danny_Prevail, go check out that. You can also check out Prevail Strength Edmond and Prevail Strength_North Yukon on Instagram.
North Yukon.
And let us know what you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hope this helps.
There you go.
See ya.